To stop Trump, we need to vote in person, even if you have to crawl through broken glass. I'm delivering my ballot during early voting to the elections office, and on election day I'm working the polls. Not messing with mailing it though. Mask up, hand sanitizer, clean underwear, all that. This shit needs to end. It's clear most of the commenters here didn't read the article. There is a risk, varying by state, that absentee ballots will be counted significantly after in-person ballots. In a state like PA, this could make it look like Trump, at the end of election day, has a tremendous lead, even though he actually lost the vote. If this happens across a bunch of swing states, Trump will likely try to claim victory early and cut off counting of remaining absentee ballots. That would be bad. So, if you can safely vote in person, better yet, early in person, it's a more appealing option than doing an absentee ballot, even if you drop it in a secure lockbox. That said, if you already requested a mail-in ballot, state-by-state rules vary. In my state of Maryland, if you requested an absentee ballot, you can still vote in person. https://www.weusa9.com/article/news/verify/verify. Yes, you can vote in person if you requested an absentee ballot. /658F314279960B4702914E247F, but it counts as a provisional ballot, which is counted in the 10 days after the election, which is probably even more delayed than just dropping my mail-in ballot at a designated drop box. Edit: to be crystal clear, legally speaking, all votes count. All of the above discussion is about proactively planning for Trump to be a lawless piece of shit, which there is precedent for. The real response should be, how do we change voting in the future to make it easier for every citizen, and how to validate your vote that is actually counted? I don't live in the US. The simple fact that people are worried their vote might not be counted, delivered, and whatnot is mind-blowing to me. I understand why it is like this, and this should be a top priority for your next government to solidify democracy in a way that it cannot be so easily broken next time. It's depressing, but the next 4 years must be focusing on this. Remember 2016 in Michigan, the official tallies say Trump won by 10,000 votes? Here's the thing. Over 75,000 ballots were not counted. A majority of those ballots were from the Detroit area, which is majority Dems. They weren't counted due to voting machine scanners malfunctioning. The state decided not to count the votes that weren't properly counted by the broken scanners and went with the voting machine scanner count. In Florida, many went uncounted based on technicalities for mail-in ballots, signatures not a perfect match, address spelling, improperly marked ballot, etc. Spoilage is the term they use. Officially, a total of 1,913,369 ballots were cast, but never counted throughout the country. A majority of those uncounted votes were mail-in ballots. I suggest voting in person, early or on election day, if you are able. Early voting starts in October in my state. I will be there with bells a mask on. I'm working on a resource to help people turn in their mail-in ballots by hand. The Pennsylvania page is almost finished here. http://www.votabehand.org/Pennsylvania. HTML, http://www.votabehand.org/Pennsylvania. HTML. After I finish Pennsylvania, I'm hoping to do Florida too. Vote. Vote in person. Vote early if you can. Vote by mail or drop off your ballot in person if you can. Vote on election day, and remember, as long as you are in line they cannot close the polls, so pack a lunch, dinner and breakfast if you must. If when you get there you are not registered, ask for a provisional ballot and vote. Then next year, when all there are is a few local and state elections, do it again. Then vote every year after that in all primaries and elections. Vote. 2020 is crawling through broken glass. Whatever it takes, I'll be there. Vote any way you can, just vote. Crawling through broken glass isn't necessary. It's not that difficult or complicated. It's not a burden you need to dread, it's one of the most valuable things you have. I'm going in person. I risk crowds for groceries, I can do it to vote. I would assume other states have it as well, but NC has a tracking tool for your absentee ballot. I was planning to voting by mail a couple of months ago. Now, I will vote in person, unless I'm physically unable to do so for some reason. Am I worried about the pandemic, especially in the midst of what is normally flu season? Yes. In a sane world, I shouldn't have to worry about that with all the voting options out there that we have. But this isn't a sane world, and these aren't sane times. And Trump, everything he stands for, and what he'd turn this country into with a second term is more than worth the risk of going in person to vote him out. Both him and I once swore an oath to defend the Constitution from enemies both foreign and domestic, but unlike him I took that oath seriously, and will execute those duties come November 3. So, my biggest recommendation is for others to do the same. Vote as early as possible, in person if you can, and check your registration weekly up to the point you're wanting to go in. Voting isn't going to solve everything that's wrong with our country. It won't resolve the issues that allowed Trump to con his way into the WH in the first place. It's not going to restore us to where we were before he was in office or fix all the damage he's done. We have a long way to go, and the work is literally going to be one of years. But kicking that orange fucker out of an office he doesn't deserve and has done little if anything to live up to is a good first step in a positive direction. My polling place is a Mormon church. I wonder what broken glass signifies there. Why would I crawl through broken glass when I have perfectly good tennis shoes? Those who can and will vote in person should choose that option, but we absolutely should not be discouraging everyone from voting by mail. A mailed-in vote is still infinitely better than no vote. There are many people who aren't willing or able to push through all the hurdles to voting in person, hurdles which have been painstakingly built by Republicans over decades with the express intent of dissuading voters. That's why mail-in voting is such a threat to them. It allows people to bypass those hurdles. If you convince a person who would have voted by mail to vote in person and then they show up and find too long of a line, or get busy, or COVID spikes come November and they decide it just isn't worth the risk, then you've done Trump's job for him. For those of us willing to vote no matter what the price, inconvenience, or even risk to our health may be, then in person is the preferred option. But it isn't the best for everyone. That's a dangerous mindset. Also, no matter how someone is voting, we need them to vote early. I think that should be the message we are focusing on. Cast your ballot early, however is convenient for you. I don't understand the assertion that going to vote in person is a perilous act. It can't be any more dangerous than going to the grocery store. Mask up and be patient. I'm adamant about voting in person. It will feel great to press the button for Biden/Harris. If you are in a state with electronic ballots, do not vote on person. They are most likely compromised, which is why Trump is so against voting by mail. Ask for a paper ballot if you are going to vote in person, and if they refuse to give it to you, contact the local election board and have names and locations ready to report. For the first time in my life, I have volunteered as a poll worker. I'm older with breathing issues, but I'll do anything I can to stop Trump. I'm voting in person. Even though I live in a deeply red state, I'm still voting in person to get rid of this nightmare of a person. I will absolutely crawl through broken glass to exercise my vote. Having lived 61 years as an American citizen, with the right to vote for over 40 of those years, I realize this democracy is my right and my duty to uphold. Voting is the integral part of that fabric. Trump and what he's done to our democracy must be stopped. He's torn apart any semblance of the Republican Party. He's shredded the decency of some of our politicians to move beyond the line in the sand for bipartisan efforts that ultimately work for the good of all Americans. I'm white, female, and live in the suburbs. Nothing he has said in protecting my way of life resonates with me. All Americans make up this great country. All of them, even the ones who are different from me.